Hello and welcome. This is REL 2502, Introduction to Christianity, Fall 2017. Can you believe the fall semester is upon us? My name is Dr. Christopher Fouché, and I will be your instructor for this course. And this is the introductory lecture. So this lecture is designed just to get you oriented, let you know some important things to succeed in this class, and set the course for going forward. So basically the action plan for this is introduction, introduce myself, introduce the class, what you can expect, walk through the syllabus, and then tee up the readings for you. These lectures will be a running feature of the class. I'm going to try to do one every week. My goal is to make them not very long. Sorry, I just straightening up there. My goal is to make them not very long, just brief, so it's not going to take too much of your time. But what I want to do with these is to fill in the gaps and make it so that this is going to help you kind of work your way through the reading and the other things I'm asking you to do, so you can get to the stuff that, the true meat of the course, the stuff that I'm really hoping that you pull from our time together. So yeah. So first of all, introductions. Again, my last name is pronounced Fouché. I've heard every pronunciation imaginable, so if that's not what you came up with, that's okay. I'm not offended at all. I actually live in Orlando, about an hour and 45 minutes away from the campus. I graduated with a PhD just this past summer, just this past August, with a PhD in religion on the Religion and Nature track, studied under Dr. Anna Peterson, who some of you might have had or maybe will have at UF. And this is my third go-around with Introduction to Christianity. So I've taught this class enough to know what works and what doesn't. So hopefully I can translate that into a seamless experience for you and something that's of value, something that you get something out of taking it. So yeah, I live in Orlando, which means face-to-face interaction is probably going to be few and far between. I don't get to campus much anymore. What we can do instead, and what we will do instead, is we can use Skype, we can use FaceTime, we can use the Canvas features. There are ways in which we can communicate and even have one-on-one conferences and not be in the same room. So my goal is to take advantage of that as best I can and to use that, because I want to be proactive about getting in touch with you. But even more important, you need to be proactive about getting in touch with me. We've got about 30 people. I don't believe I have a TA this time. So I'm not going to be able to hold everyone's hand, if you will. And if I don't hear from you, the assumption is that everything's great and you understand it and you don't need any help. So if that's not the case, then you need to be the one to take the responsibility to let me know. But the point is, there's going to be lots of different ways to communicate. And we'll get into that as we get there. So yeah, I actually teach for Orange County Public Schools. I'm an 8th grade teacher at Lakeview Middle School down in Winter Garden, teaching English language arts, trying to figure out what the next steps are after academia, and I could bore you with the details of my story. But for now, yeah, I live in Orlando and I have a day job. So I am going to, like I said, communication is going to be key. It's going to be important. We just might need to be a little bit creative how we do it. As you can see there in the picture, I have two girls. Juliana is 8. Olivia is 4. Probably the most important thing about me. I have a Master of Divinity from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary. Got that in 06. And I have a BA from Florida State University in 2001. So football season gets a little complicated because my undergrad is from Florida State and my doctorate's from UF. I like both teams, which is, I know it's kind of sacrilege for some people to even, to say that you like both, but I really do like both. Yeah, football season's complicated. But yeah, that's the short version about me. In terms of this class, Introduction to Christianity, the first time I taught this class, I was overwhelmed just because of the size of the topic. I mean, Intro to Christianity, how in the world can you hope to cover everything? Well, the short answer is you don't. You can't. So it becomes, what do you cover? Make sure you cover the right bits, because you're not going to be able to cover all of it. So what does that mean? For us, that means starting with the sources. We start with a book by we'll get into the books later, but we start with a book on Jesus, and we start with the Bible. We move into kind of more abstract Christian theology, views on heaven and hell and sin and man and everything else. And we get into a little bit of Christian history, how those views came to be. You really can't have one without the other. You really can't figure out how Christians landed where they did on sin without talking about someone like Augustine. So we're going to do a little bit of that, or Christian freedom with Martin Luther, so on and so forth. They go together. So the theology and the history are going to go together, and then when we get done with that, We're going to go into more modern expressions and more modern controversies that involve the faith. I want to talk about how the relationship between Christianity and artwork, literature, poetry, that type of thing. I also want to talk about the ways in which Christianity deals or doesn't deal with modern controversies like racism, environmental issues, war, all sorts of things. Modern questions that people have. And honestly, a lot of times the question is, what does religion have to do with any of these things? Well, the answer is a lot. Christianity has influenced views on these topics and has formed and shaped them and has been influenced by these topics. So it needs to be talked about. So the last portion of the class is that modern section. It's like, okay, now we're going to talk about pluralism. Now we're going to talk about race. Now we're going to talk about homosexuality and gender debates. All of those modern questions, and we're going to say, all right, does Christianity say something to these issues? Most of the time the answer to that is yes. And if that's the case, what does it say? So that's kind of the flow of the course, starting with the old, moving to the more modern, starting with Jesus, the Bible, theology, history, and then the modern stuff. That's where we're going. That's a lot. So what that means is sometimes we're just going to have to come at it from we're going to have to do the 5,000 feet view. We're not going to be able to drill too far down and get into too much detail on any one subject. We're going to have to keep moving. And that's good in some ways. In an introductory class, I think it's what you're supposed to do. It's frustrating in others. But the good news is if there's something that you're frustrated on that you wanted to spend more time on, that might be a point of research for you going forward when you take more upper level classes on the topic. So there you go. In terms of what I'm looking to do, again, I can't cover everything. So one of my main goals is diversity, give you a representative sampling of everything. You're going to be reading Catholic writers, you're going to be reading Protestants, you're going to be reading Western Christians, Eastern Christians, ancient Christians, modern Christians, and people writing about Christianity. I want to give you a lot of different points of view and a lot of different perspectives. Like, for example, when we talk about the question of homosexuality and Christianity, I'm going to give you stuff from gay Christians, and I'm going to give you stuff from people who don't believe that gay Christians is even a thing. I want to give you both sides and multiple sides if there's more than two, because sometimes there's more than two. I want to give you as many different perspectives as I can. So diversity is the first thing. Second thing is objectivity. I don't want to say this is my view and you must follow it. I don't want to be a cheerleader for Christianity per se. I don't want to be a cynic who just tears everything down. My goal is to be a tour guide who goes through these areas of this big complex religion and says, here, look at this, here, look at this. These people say this, but these people say this. I want to be the one who's able to show you the various features and the various people and the various arguments and discussions that have shaped this religion over the past couple thousand years. I don't want to be someone who says this is the right view of Christianity, period, full stop. Well, those people are misguided. Those people are wrong. That's not what I'm going for. So anyway, just to kind of walk through the syllabus and just the basic introductory points. On the syllabus, you see the course title, you see my name, you see my contact information. Like I said, use it. I have a day job, so if you're emailing me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, hoping for a response by 1:30, sorry, it's probably not going to happen. I will do my level best to get in touch with you in a timely manner. I will get back to you. I will suggest ways in which we can dialogue and interact with each other. If it's not in person, if it's Skype, if it's FaceTime, Canvas, whatever it is. But just be mindful of the fact that, especially during the week, during the day, there's going to be a little bit of a delay. I'm not going to be able to turn around and respond to you as quickly as you might like. So you might need to build that into your schedule, factor that into the equation when it comes to this class. But all of that, I don't want all of that to dissuade you from using my contact information, from sending the emails, making the phone calls, reaching out, because that's going to be a key for you to have success. So you have all that information, then it moves into beyond just the introductory stuff, the goals of the class, which we'll get into. Then it goes into the books. The Bible is listed as a textbook because we're going to deal directly in it. If you don't have a Bible, don't go spend money on a Bible. Use BibleGateway.com, use any of the other websites that are available. There's no need to go purchase a Bible for this class. Then there's Borg and Wright, The Meaning of Jesus. I love this book. Get this book first. You know, if you're kind of staggering your textbooks, get this one first because this is the one that we started. So this is the highest priority in terms of what book you need to get your hands on first. Borg and Wright, Meaning of Jesus. You can get it cheap on. You can get it used cheap on Amazon. You can get it in a lot of places. It's a great book. I love this book. It's widely available. Shouldn't be any trouble getting your hands on that. Then there's McGrath, which is the more textbook type of book. Also critical. You are going to need it. This book provides the spine and the structure for the class. So yeah, you're going to have that. It's a really great overview, and we're going to use it as our guide, you know, as kind of a way to structure things today, or going this semester, I should say. There's Endo, Silence. You might have seen the movie. Even if you've seen the movie, get the book. Read the book. They're two different animals. You're not going to get the whole story with the movie. Movies can't do that. They just don't have it in them to do that. So you need the book. You have the newest version, which has a foreword by Martin Scorsese, which I actually think is pretty cool. I actually think it's well written. But you need Silence. And then the last one is a book by Rod Dreher. It's called How Dante Can Save Your Life. It's kind of a weird book. Also widely available, popular book. I like it because what it does is it takes classic, probably the most famous Christian poem of all time, and not exaggerating, Dante's Inferno, and uses it to solve modern, or at least to deal with very modern existential problems. So it knocks out two birds with one stone. It talks about modern issues, actually three, because it talks about theology, it talks about modern issues that Christianity speaks to, and it talks about the way in which Christianity uses artistic impulses, literature, poetry, in order to communicate and get its point across. So those are the books. You know, 5's a lot, but you don't have to buy the first one. And just about all of them, except for McGrath, you can get cheaply, you can get used. Yeah, so it's not going to be a situation, I don't think, where you're going to break the bank on books, even though there are a lot of them. So yeah. In terms of the class itself, the work, what I expect from you, the short version is I expect reading and writing, because, you know, this is a humanities course, and that's how we do things here. So there's going to be a lot of reading. You can tell, 5 books. There's also going to be a lot of writing, because, you know, humanities, we want to see how you can think, and writing is one of the best ways to gauge that. 1,000-point scale, and here's how those 1,000 points are divvied up. You have quizzes sporadically throughout the semester. You can check the schedule for those. You have quiz questions. Now, what's a quiz question? Every week, I'm going to ask you to write quiz questions based on the reading. I'm going to ask you to write true, false, a multiple choice, and a short answer. They will be questions that are from the reading. And the trick is, when I read these questions, I need to see the connection to the reading. If I don't see the connection to the reading, I'm going to be like, I don't think you read it. So you got to read the material, come up with questions that you think would be good quiz questions on this material. And if I like them, I might tweak them a little bit, but if I like them, I'm going to use them. And I'm going to turn around and give you study guides as we progress. So basically, you're writing your own study guide for the quizzes. So every question that I put on these quizzes is going to be pulled from the questions that you submit to me and the questions that I turn around and give you as study material. So there's going to be no surprises. You know exactly what's coming because you helped write it. So yeah, every week you're going to be, except for the first week, every week you're going to be writing 3 quiz questions based on the reading material. True, false, multiple choice, short answer. I will grade them and I will get them back to you. I'll say, I like this question, or I'll say this question doesn't make any sense, or I can't see the connection to the reading. But this is going to be your weekly show me you did the reading type of assignment, but it's also a handy way to, you know, basically set yourself up for success on the quizzes. There's also going to be reflections and responses. You know, obviously this is more subjective. This is more, how did you feel reading this? I come up with questions that I'm hoping are going to make you think. And I post those weekly. And there is one of those the first week, so you better don't forget about that. But you're going to have a reflection, which is due Wednesday, and you're going to have a response to another student's reflection, which is due Friday. This shouldn't be difficult. I think every college class online has some component of this. So I don't think it's going to be reinventing the wheel. I think it's going to be pretty basic. But you are going to have that responsibility. and I will post questions weekly, and I'll be looking and grading your responses, basically to see if they're long enough, to see if if they actually answer the question, and to see if they're coherent. That's what I'm going to be grading on. That's what I'm going to be looking for. So that's what I'm going to be asking of you. And then there are 2 papers. The first paper is a Christian interview paper where you take someone who has been in faith for a long time. Don't interview someone who just got saved last year or just proclaimed Christianity, a year ago. What you want to do in order to be successful is find someone who has practiced this religion for a long time, and can offer insights. And what are you going to ask them? You're going to ask them how they came to their religion. You're going to ask them, what does it look like in real life? And how does it play out in their life? You're going to basically talk to them about their faith. There's an appendix on the syllabus that deals explicitly with this paper. Read it. It's designed to be helpful. It's designed to tell you exactly what I'm looking for in this paper. You'll also get more detail as we get closer. The other one is a church visit paper. And again, this is pretty standard for religion classes. Going to 2 Christian worship services, taking stock of what you find, and writing a paper, a compare-contrast paper on what you find on both services. In order for this to work, and again, there's another appendix in the syllabus, which is all about this paper. What I will say off the bat is in order for this to work, you need to get 2 different types of worship services, and that doesn't necessarily mean theology. If you can go Catholic, evangelical, which is a good mix, but if they're both for college students, there's going to be a lot of similarities there. The idea is diversity. So if you pick one that's primarily college, then for your second one, pick one that's primarily not. If you pick one that's primarily liturgical, then your second one needs to be more low church, more evangelical. We'll get more into that and more. You'll get more explanation as we get farther along. But those are going to be the 2 papers that complete your grade, and you can see in the syllable. You can see in the syllabus how many points they count for, and how your grades are distributed. So the next portion of the syllabus is the schedule and the descriptions. There's calendar there that I intend to follow. There's also readings that are posted that, in addition to the textbooks, that you can get the links there. So there's a lot of good. Syllabus is really important. Refer to it often. Then there's a bit on plagiarism, and I don't want to spend time talking about plagiarism now. All I'll say is, if the onus is on you to find out what it is, and if you're doing it, and how to avoid it. Unless if this is your first college class, and you're still going, wait, what? Then you know what? Reach out to me, and we'll have a one-on-one conversation about it. But otherwise, if you've been at this for a while, I don't expect you to run into any trouble here. Just know that I have caught several plagiarism cases in the past. I will catch more, and I don't have any patience for it. This is not. I mean, you were at one of the elite universities in the country. You owe it to yourself to do the work and to get as much as you can out of this education. And if you're skating, and particularly if you're skating in a way that's cheating, I'm going to drop the hammer. That's just all there is to it. So then there's a section on classroom, online class, cyber classroom behavior. The key word there is respect. Respect me, respect each other, and we'll all be fine. If you show disrespect, that's not going to work either. What I won't tolerate is any type of bullying. There's always an element of risk with discussion boards, like the reflections and the responses. You have people really opening up and like giving their emotional response to a reading. And if you come, I don't mind you coming with criticism, but if you come with that's stupid or some sort of bullying move that's designed to shut them up, we're going to have a conversation. Because that's not what we're doing here. That's not acting right. So show me respect. I will show you respect. We show each other respect, and everyone is happy. And then there's also a section on turning in work. Now, I don't physically appear before you twice a week or 3 times a week, so you really need to be proactive about getting your work turned in. There's a schedule with due dates, but just remember that there's no TA, which means I don't have time to confirm that I received the assignment that you submitted. Use Canvas, and if you're into trouble, you've just got to be proactive. You've got to communicate. You've got to make sure your tech is working properly. All of that's going to be vital for your success. Okay, so that's basically it. I don't think this class is too terribly complicated, but if there's something that you're missing, there's something that's not making sense, something that you just need to have explained again, don't hesitate to let me know. So with that in mind, we'll move away from the syllabus and I'll tee up the reading for you. I assigned 2 things this first week. The first is an article posted on the syllabus. It's an article by Russell McCutcheon. McCutcheon is a religious studies scholar. He is a religious studies scholar who I believe is at the University of Alabama, or at least he was. He is a religious studies scholar, not a theologian. And you're going, potato, potato, what's the difference? Oh, yeah, there's a difference. A theologian. The other source, Meaning of Jesus, written by N.T. Wright and Marcus Borg, those 2 are theologians. McCutcheon is a religious studies scholar. What's the difference? Theologians are writing as insiders. We actually believe this stuff. Religious studies scholars are writing as outsiders. We study this religion. We study the people who practice it, and we see what we can learn based on that. So the perspective is very different, and you can see in these writings. So what I gave you from McCutcheon is the work of a religious studies scholar who's honestly quite skeptical in his outlook. He's going to draw a sharp line between theology on the one hand and academic study of religion on the other. He's going to be very skeptical about the ability of theologians to do the academic study of religion. He's going to say, how can you? Because you have skin in the game, you have an axe to grind. What he's calling for is a non-evaluative comparative method, which is a mouthful. But when you're reading, pay attention, because that phrase is really significant, and just to make sure you've got it, see if you can define what that phrase means, because it's key to what McCutcheon wants to do. So McCutcheon is the religious studies guy, and then you have Borg and Wright, who are theologians. Now, Borg and Wright disagree with each other on a lot. That's the whole nature of the book. But they're both theologians, and they both agree on a lot as theologians. They're writing as insiders. They're writing as practitioners. They're writing as people who actually believe this stuff in some form or fashion. But they disagree. They disagree on a lot because Wright is generally the more conservative, Borg is the more progressive. What I love about this book is that they disagree well. They disagree as friends. They don't disagree with name calling and stuff like that. They have an honest, robust conversation as two people who really dig each other. And they were very close friends. Borg passed away a few years back. Wright's still alive. But they were very good friends. They were very good friends. And they wrote this book as very good friends. And I love it because it's a model for how to disagree well, which in a society like ours where no one knows how to disagree well, it seems, everyone just puts all caps on social media and just flames each other all day. It's a nice model. So that's one of the reasons I gave you the book, actually. It's because I love this model of disagreement. But they're going to have a different take. Obviously, when McCutcheon looks and says, you know what, faith and scholarship are incompatible with each other, Wright's going to say, no, faith and scholarship go together very well. They actually feed each other, where Borg is going to say, well, it's complicated. And he's going to hold those two ideas in tension, faith on the one hand and academic scholarship on the other. So there's three perspectives as far as religion and academic scholarship. And really what I'm looking for is for you to be able to articulate what each scholar believes about these two concepts. Do they play well together? Do they not? And why? And you're going to get three different perspectives on that question. So that's really the core, the crux of the reading this week, what I'm looking for you to do. And at the base of the conversation, at the fundamental, the foundation of it, is this question of: is it possible for is it possible for theologians, religious studies scholars? Is it possible for anyone to truly be objective when it comes to religion and when it comes to Christianity in particular? McCutcheon would have you believe that it's possible to examine religion like a scientist examines a specimen in a laboratory. That we can objectively, impartially hack this thing open and see what's inside. Borg and Wright disagree. They say, you know what, the person who wants to be objective and impartial and says, I am a fully impartial observer, they're coming with their own stuff. They're coming with their own biases. They're coming with their own perspective. There's a line actually in Borgenreich in the foreword of the introduction that says, there is, after all, no such thing as objectivity in scholarship, which is a line that McCutcheon would strongly disagree with. But it really, I mean, you're talking about core philosophical controversy here, which is the nature of the academy and higher education in general. Because the theologians say, yes, we have skin in this game, but so do you. Someone who doesn't claim a religion, who says, it doesn't matter what I believe, I'm just studying it academically. Their point is, no, you're coming with your own stuff. You have skin in this game too. So there's two different perspectives. There's two different points of view. The more traditional, modern, scholarly perspective, and still the dominant position, is yes, we can take these complicated subjects like religion and study them impartially. Whereas there's a minority position, which personified by Morgan right here, which said, no, we're all coming with our own stuff. We're all coming with our own perspective, our own story. And truly 100% modern, impartial scholarship is impossible. So, it's the old modern versus postmodern debates. And if you're new to philosophy and you don't know what modernism and postmodernity is, again, reach out and we'll explain it. Well, I'll do my best. It's a really huge question. And if I was in person, I might make you buy me a beer while I explain it. But, we're going to have to do it differently in an online course. But it really is, this is the same question that gets asked in a lot of different ways in a lot of different philosophy departments and a lot of different perspectives on higher education. Can we be impartial? Can we be objective? Or do we just acknowledge the fact that we're coming with our own stuff and we try to be as fair as we can, knowing that we all have a perspective and a bias? So you have that, you have that type of question. A related question that comes up is a source of authority. Is there an objective referee? Because the modern, the McCutcheons of the world, they say, all right, we got rid of, God as the ultimate referee. And that's, the modern age accomplished that. But who's the referee now? And McCutcheon, in the more modern perspective, wants to say reason or science, or these are the referees. These are the ones who decide what is in play and what is out. Theologians aren't quite ready to give up on the old referees, but even that. But I would also say that a more postmodern perspective is to question just the sense that there is any referee. Because remember, what's a referee supposed to be? Impartial, objective. No skin in the game. They don't care who wins. The postmodern perspective, and again, this perspective that Borg and Wright are bringing here, is that, that you're looking for reason and for science to be your perfectly objective referees. But the people who are practitioners of these things have desires, they have motives, they have a perspective that influences how they do their work. It's better to acknowledge it, better to be aware of it, better to try to minimize the negative effects of it, and move on. So there's a lot of really big stuff in these introductory readings, just to kind of get you acclimated to some of the questions that we're going to be dealing with in this course. But again, you're getting 3 different perspectives in a book and an article, which I love that. For McCutcheon, the referee is science, scholarship, and reason. Wright says, no, faith is still the referee, and we put our reason to use under the authority of faith. Borg says, it's kind of complicated. He's going to talk about the Jesus of history versus the Christ of faith. He's going to talk about the nature of history. He's an interesting cat. I like Borg a lot, actually. But he is attempting to thread the needle on some of these questions. So I'll be, so read it, kind of get acclimated, do the discussion questions that are connected to it, the reflection and the response. Usually the reflection will be due Wednesday night, and then the response will be due Friday night. But since this is a short week and we're all kind of getting into it, I'll just make them both due Friday this week. But just know going forward that I'm going to need to see your reflection, your answer to the question by Wednesday, and your response to your fellow students' reflection by Friday. But this week is special. So this week, do the reading, get into the course, get comfortable, if you will. And then we really get going with the quiz questions next week and everything else, and it's going to start to move fast. My advice to you is to start thinking now, really now, on who you're going to interview for your paper. Read the syllabus, read the appendices on the papers, get a sense of what I'm looking for, and then start thinking about who you're going to talk to. Because what I don't want you to do is make your lack of preparation someone else's emergency. Like if you go to someone and say, oh my goodness, I need someone to interview for this paper and it's due tomorrow, that's not going to work. That's not going to work well. I don't want you to do that. So start thinking now and be proactive about asking me questions about what I want. I mean, it seems basic, but I'm astonished by how many people just never bother to ask questions. Ask me what I'm looking for. Ask me if you're on the right track. Ask me what it takes to be successful in this paper, and I will gladly tell you. I don't want to keep it a secret. I will gladly tell you. But it's just amazing how many students just don't bother to do that for some reason. So this is my green light to you to ask those types of questions, and I will answer them as best I can. So anyway, I would like to welcome you again. I would like to give you my contact information again. It's there on the end of the PowerPoint, and I would encourage you just one more time to take advantage of the fact that I'm willing to be as communicative as possible. And I think we're going to have a good semester. This course is fun because there's a lot of perspective. A lot of you as students bring a lot of diverse perspectives. We have students that have been Christians for their whole lives. We have students that are openly hostile to all things Christian. And it's fun to watch them interact. So I'm expecting similar things this semester. And we're going to have a good time. So again, welcome. I wish you all the best. Do your work, do your reading, and holler if you have any questions.